She left here when she was okay. She went to Saudi for 4 years. She was admitted in a hospital. She was just dumped. And when she reached here, she could not speak. To that, she's not speaking. They don't know what happened.
Lakini tukimuuliza sasa kumwambia eleza. Wamba elezea ilikuwaje, walifanya nini? Hebu tueleze, walikufanya nini?
Nataka utuelezee ndio tuone sisi hawa Waarabu wanaotesa watu ni njia gani tutakayofanya.
Vipi, hebu tueleze walikuchoma vipi, walikufanya nini mpaka ukachomeka hapa?
Waya. Walikufunga waya Walikumwagia maji? Ni pasi ndio walikuchoma nalo?
Why.
Tunapofikiria tutataka aongee tu, anga aongee. Sasa hivi watuambia lakini hatuelewi.
Usilie.
A worker so traumatized by her employer that she's not able to speak. And in the Middle East, there is no recourse for people who've suffered that sort of punishment. Her employer as well will never be punished. Now, the man who provided that shocking footage joins us now from Denmark, journalist Soren Clauberg, who we've got back, and the sound is working. And staying with us in the studio, Morgani Mkwanzi and Satsawu's Eunice Dladla. Soren, good to have you back. Tell us about what you experienced putting this documentary together.
Yeah, it's been a harsh experience, I would say. It's a cruel world, and the clip you just saw, there are numerous cases like that. In this particular case with the non-woman, it's really unclear what happened. They are just guessing, and she's not able to explain what she went through. So it's all guesswork and no compensation being paid or no legal case. So this is just one of many cases where I had to choose some and try to focus on this topic.
I mean, there are abuses committed in so many countries, and we were touching on what happens in South Africa, and it's not nowhere in that league. Why do you think it's so abhorrent there? I mean, why is it so rampant, and why is there the feeling that these workers can be treated like that?
I think one of the main causes is the system, the sponsorship system called kafala, which means that these women are bound to one individual person, typically the employer. That's why they confiscate their passports upon arrival right at the airport. The footage is in the film. They derive the passport, and only the employer can allow the women to apply for a new job. And that is the most grotesque cases is if the employer rapes the maid and she takes off, she will be considered illegal the moment she's on the street. And this is an extreme vulnerability which has to do with this sponsorship system where the workers are regarded as some kind of investment. So that's one of the things that should be changed, I think.
Well, they call it modern-day slavery, don't they? I mean, let's just talk about the situation here, and when we talk about workers' units. I mean, you were saying that there is a law that protects them, but when you have workers who go under the radar because of fear, because maybe they've lost their passport or whatever it is, how do you look after them? What is the conversation?
Yeah, I can just start by saying it makes me very angry.
Oh.
I'm hurt inside because there are laws that protect workers. But workers are afraid to say a word just because I will be dismissed. We're trying all our best to call workers to come and listen, because every Saturday we got this kind of we call it an education classes where we educate them about their rights. But you'll find that the migrant workers come and say, please don't say a word about me. Don't call my name because I don't want my employer to know or see me on TV or hear me on radio talking about rights because I'll be dismissed. And I'm very hurt because it's not to say employers will dismiss them immediately, or maybe they will be dismissed. It's not true. Workers are afraid because they heard somebody says, if you practice your rights, you'll be dismissed. So that is why we're always asking workers to come forward and come and listen to us, because we'll educate them about their rights.
Okay, and Bongani, what is the conversation between South Africa and Zimbabwe, the governments and the unions, to make it a better and safer environment?
Look, the unions are quite forthcoming, as Mamdala from Sedusa. They do these programs. Migrants are also welcome. I think the issue then becomes in the information dissemination for them to understand there is recourse. In terms of government, the white paper on immigration, which is still to be implemented, talks of a static visa and some special visas that will be implemented by the government. So to curb this issue where workers are then afraid to reveal themselves and be easily exploitable. So that sort of visa would then assist in actually enforcing some of these regulations. So we would hopefully then want to encourage the workers, the domestic workers particularly, who work behind the scenes, who are not known.
And it'll be very good if anyone wants to call us and they've got a story of their experience here. Soren, so I guess it's a relief that South African and Zimbabwean workers don't make it over to the Middle East. I've spent many years living there and heard about the atrocities committed and how the Philippine government, for example, would stop their workers from coming over. But at the end of the day, the money there is just, if it works for you, is just too good, isn't it, to ever stop this from happening?
Yes, I don't know if you can say the money is too good, and Ethiopian Maid makes $150 a month for working like 18 to 20 hours, but the complexity of it...
for those who get it right.
Yeah, that I agree on. But the problem is that, take Kenya, for example, when people can't feed their families or they need money for school fee, they have heard of the stories, many of the women who go, but they kind of feel forced to try their fortune and hope that these atrocities will not happen to them. So this is the complex part of it, because it's a global dilemma story as I see it, like many migration stories are. So how are you going to stop it? Even with bans, they are not working. The Philippines, Kenya, many countries have tried to ban it in periods, but the demand and the supply is there. So
okay, and tell us a little bit more about the recruiter. I mean, the one that you interviewed, who we showed a little bit earlier on, was quite proud of his position, wasn't he? Bringing people in, and you heard women calling him, and obviously he couldn't care really what happened to them. So, what should the role of the recruiter be, and how do you monitor them?
This particular recruiter, Maher from Beirut, he does not think that he's doing anything wrong. He sees himself as facilitating workers who need money and a job, and employers, and he is a member of the organization of agents. So you can find far worse amongst the illegal agents, and that's why he chose to tell his story and show how his world is, which I think is an interesting insight, a glimpse of a world that you seldom hear of.
Well, it certainly is, because you realise that he doesn't see that there's anything wrong with it. Let's talk about agents here in South Africa and recruitment companies. How do they deal with it, and what sort of onus is on them to make sure that it's legal?
They have to follow the rules, but there's a lot of these unscrupulous characters with these offices all over the place who would recruit and take part of the money that the workers should be getting. And do they recruit under a lie?
I mean, do they make it quite fantastical so people jump at the opportunity?
If you are coming, the economic situation in general in Africa and in the SADC says, we look at South Africa is the land to be, the standard of living is much higher. So if I wasn't earning anything elsewhere, surely then the next rand that is available looks like a better option. So some workers would actually forfeit their rights because, well, they feel they have been given a job. So it is near the same case with this recruiter who, despite knowing the dehumanizing conditions and violence that perpetrated, like in this case in the Middle East, he feels he's doing them a justice by actually taking them and putting them in such situations. It will be near similar to these unscrupulous characters.
And what do you think should be done to them, Eunice? And if Qatar or Saudi Arabia were ever to say, you know, South African domestic workers should come over, what would your position be?
I think I'll answer you another way round, because I heard my comrades talking about we call it unemployment agencies, we Domestic Workers Union. Those unemployment agencies, really, they don't tell workers the truth. And they want money from workers. They want money from employer also. But they are not telling them the truth. If I was a Labour Department person, I was going to say those unemployment agencies, they need to have books on the table that tells workers how to work, what are your rights as a worker, and how many hours you have to work, everything, the basic conditions of Employment Act.
So
but workers are not...
And they've got a voice. I'm going to interrupt you there because we've got a call on the line. Badu from Johannesburg, calling on behalf of his mother. Go ahead, Badu.
Yes. Hello, how are you, Jane?
Good, thank you. What's your question, Badu?
My question is my mother is facing, she's employed by law, labor attorneys, but they are infringing her rights because she's from Zimbabwe. She knows no clue about the working conditions. For example, she was forced to clean newspapers of another employee, and when she complains, she's given a hearing. She's not even listened to the given hearing. Last time she was sick, they were painting at work. She got sick. They told her they cannot assist her, but they charged her on a disciplinary hearing for that. So basically, they're taking advantage of that because she's just a maid. She doesn't know anything. She can't voice her rights.
Eunice?
So that's the biggest problem.
Eunice, what would you suggest for her?
I don't know, because I'm still got that, what I was talking about. You mean about the mother?
Well, she could get in touch with you, couldn't she? Could you...
That was what I was going to say. If she is here in South Africa, she can get in touch with us and talk to us. And then the workers from outside, they need to know the migrant workers the most. They need to know that the government opened at the, what do you call that place where you take the pass laws? It's the law is open that they must come and get their working permit to work in South Africa, so that they mustn't afraid to practice their rights. They mustn't say yes, madam, always. They need to say no if it's no. But now they are just keep quiet. They're afraid to say a word because they think I'll be dismissed and go back home.
That's always so important, isn't it, to speak out? Excuse me, jumping in here, Eunice. We've run out of time. I just want to ask Soren something quickly. Soren, I mean, where is the outrage? Where is the international outrage? People know that this has been happening for years. And what's going on? What's the problem?
I think the problem, there's no real will to stop this. Take Saudi Arabia, for example. The atrocities there, it's crazy. The amount of cases is crazy. So pressure has to be put on this region and some of these countries. And I don't really see the pressure when UN has condemned it for years. But nothing is happening, and I'm hoping with this film to push the debate a little bit, but I'm not too optimistic about it, actually, unfortunately.
It seems there's just too many financial interests here, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your amazing footage with us. We really appreciate that. Soren Clauberg, excuse me, Bongani Mkwanzi and Eunice Dladla, thank you very much. That's our show for tonight.